Please, can you help me? The desperate plea stopped Maya Williams, a black woman in her late 20s, mid-stride at Austin Bergstrom Airport. She was racing to catch a flight for a life-changing job interview in Chicago, her boarding pass clutched tightly. Turning, she saw Ethan, a blond white man, wincing near a vending machine, his ankle twisted awkwardly. Despite the ticking clock, something in his pained eyes, familiar yet unknown, made her pause. Would she risk her future for a stranger? Welcome to our channel, where stories of heart and courage unfold. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to catch our latest videos. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from? This tale of sacrifice, secrets, and second chances will leave you stunned. Will Maya's choice change her life forever? Stick around to find out what Ethan's hiding and how their paths collide in ways you won't expect. The hum of Austin Bergstrom Airport buzzed like a living thing, a chaotic symphony of rolling suitcases, murmured conversations, and the sharp ping of gate announcements. Maya Williams, a black woman in her late 20s, carved a path through the crowd in Terminal B, her heels clicking with purpose against the polished tile. Her heart thumped in rhythm with her steps, each one a countdown to a future she'd clawed her way toward. In one hand, she gripped a boarding pass for a flight to Chicago. In the other, her phone, its screen glowing with last-minute tips on acing tough interview questions. This was it, the job interview that could lift her from a stagnant mid-level PR role into a career that matched her ambition. Her dark eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the gate numbers overhead. 6A, 7 minutes until final boarding. Please, can you help me? The voice cut through the noise, low but urgent, stopping Maya mid-stride. She froze, her pulse spiking as if someone had yanked her back from a sprint. Turning, she saw him, a young man, white with tousled blonde hair, hunched near a vending machine. He was probably not yet 30, his lean frame taut with pain as he clung to the machine's edge. His right ankle twisted at an unnatural angle. Sweat beaded on his forehead, glistening under the terminal's harsh fluorescent lights. Yet his expression held a quiet composure, like a man refusing to crumble. "Sorry," he said, voice strained but steady. "Can you help me stand up?" Maya's first instinct was to keep moving. Her mother's voice, hardened by years of single parenting, echoed in her mind. Self-reliance above all. Don't stop for strangers when your future's on the line. The gate was just ahead, the digital sign flashing, final call like a warning. She could make it if she ran, but her feet didn't budge. The man's eyes, a piercing blue, locked onto hers, and for a fleeting moment, they felt familiar, like a memory she couldn't place. She shook it off, chalking it up to nerves. "Let me help," she said, the words spilling out before logic could pull them back. Tucking her phone into her purse, she crouched beside him, her blazer straining as she slid her arm under his. "Don't move too fast. Did you fall?" "I think I sprained it," he said, wincing as she eased him to his feet. "Got off a red-eye, lost my balance." His build was athletic, not bulky, but solid, and now clearly in pain. His jeans were dusty, his plain black t-shirt unremarkable, yet there was a calm about him, an unassuming strength that made her keep holding on, even as her shoulder ached under his weight. "Where's your gate?" she asked, glancing at the clock. 5 minutes left. "C14, he said, biting his lip as he tested his injured foot. Other side of the terminal. Maya's stomach dropped. C14 was in the opposite direction from 6A. Her mind raced, calculating the impossible math. If she helped him, she'd miss her flight. The interview, her shot at a corner office, a salary that could change her life, would slip through her fingers. But then she looked at him again, his face tight with pain, his eyes scanning the indifferent crowd rushing past. Travelers with earbuds and lattes zipped by, their gazes sliding over him as if he were invisible. "No one's helping you?" she asked, disbelief sharpening her tone. He gave a dry smile, almost resigned. "Guess I'm invisible today." That did it. Something in Maya snapped. Not anger, but a stubborn resolve, a fire kindled by years of being overlooked herself. She took a deep breath, her decision crystallizing. "All right," she said, her voice firm. "I'll get you to C14. They moved slowly, Maya bearing most of his weight as they navigated the terminal's polished floors. Her shoulder burned, her heels wobbled, but she didn't complain. The man, Ethan, he said his name was, kept his eyes forward, murmuring thanks between shallow breaths. "I owe you, Maya," he said when she gave her name, his faint smile disarming. "Buy me a coffee when we're both airborne?" She laughed despite herself. "Deal." At C-14, a flight attendant scanned Ethan's ID with detached efficiency, then nodded toward a separate door. "Executive first, use the VIP ramp." Maya blinked, caught off guard. "Executive first?" Ethan turned, catching her surprise. "Long story," he said, his smile cryptic. "I'm good from here." She let him go, resisting the urge to ask more. Her own gate was closing. She ran, heart pounding, heels striking hard against the tile. Too late. Gate 6A was empty, the digital screen now reading, "Departed." Maya stopped, hands on her knees, gasping for air. Her phone buzzed. An email from the recruiter. "We're sorry you missed your flight. The interview slot has been filled. No rescheduling." She sank onto a bench, staring blankly at the screen. Brilliant, Maya. She'd thrown away her future for a stranger, but beneath the crushing disappointment, a quiet pride stirred. She'd done the right thing, even if it cost her everything. As she sat there, unaware of the blond man limping toward his flight, Ethan Cole, Sky Nova's owner and her secret admirer from high school, glanced back, his heart racing with a hope he hadn't felt in years. For him, this wasn't just a chance encounter. It was fate. The sterile hum of Austin Bergstrom Airport pressed against Maya Williams like a weight, each passing minute stretching into an eternity of regret. She sat slumped on a bench near Gate 6A, her boarding pass now a useless scrap in her purse. The digital screen above mocked her with its "departed" sign, a final nail in the coffin of her Chicago interview. Her phone, still clutched in her hand, burned with the recruiter's email. No rescheduling, no second chance. Maya's dark eyes, usually sharp with purpose, stared blankly at the terminal's bustling chaos, travelers weaving past, oblivious to the dreams unraveling in her chest. She'd helped a stranger, Ethan, and lost everything. Brilliant, she thought, her mother's voice echoing, self-reliance above all. Yet beneath the bitterness, a stubborn pride flickered, faint but unyielding. Footsteps, fast, purposeful, broke her reverie. Maya lifted her head, blinking through the haze of exhaustion, and there he was. Ethan. But not the disheveled man she'd helped to gate C-14. Ethan stood tall, his blonde hair neatly combed, his athletic frame filling a sharp navy suit that seemed to command the air around him. His blue eyes, still piercing, carried a weight she hadn't noticed before. "Maya," he said softly, his voice smooth yet laced with something serious. "I didn't think you'd still be here." She stood, her legs unsteady, unsure if her mind was playing tricks. "Ethan?" Her voice cracked, a mix of confusion and defensiveness. "What are you doing here?" He nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "I was hoping we could talk. I've been looking for you." Maya crossed her arms, her guard snapping up like a shield. "Talk? I missed my flight because I helped you, and now I'm stuck here with nothing. Whatever you have to say, I'm not interested." Her words came out sharper than intended, and she winced as a flicker of hurt crossed his face. Ethan paused, choosing his words with care. "I know it's not easy to trust a stranger, Maya, but hear me out. I owe you more than a coffee." His tone was firm yet gentle, disarming her just enough to keep her rooted. "I wasn't entirely honest earlier. I'm Ethan Cole, and I own Sky Nova Airlines." Maya blinked, her mind short-circuiting. She let out a dry laugh, half expecting a punchline. "You own an airline? That's cute. Flying back in your private jet, then? Congratulations." Her sarcasm masked the unease creeping in. Was he mocking her? Ethan shook his head, a soft chuckle escaping. "It's true, and I wasn't just here on business today." He leaned closer, his voice lowering as if sharing a guarded secret. "Every year I do this. Dress down, blend in, watch how people treat someone who looks like they have nothing. It started after I saw my father, a billionaire, get turned away when he disguised himself as a homeless man. I wanted to see who'd stop, who'd care." Maya's arms dropped slightly, her skepticism wavering. So what? You were testing me. Not testing, Ethan said quickly, his eyes earnest. Observing, looking for truth. You stopped, Maya. No one else did. His words landed heavily, stirring something in her chest. Pride, but also unease. She'd been part of his experiment, and it stung. Why are you telling me this? She asked, her voice quieter now, bitterness giving way to curiosity. Ethan's gaze softened, and for a moment, his composure faltered, as if wrestling with something deeper. Because I feel guilty. You missed your interview because of me, and I want to make it right. He took a breath, steadying himself. I'm launching a global initiative at Skynova, aviation service hubs in underserved regions. I need someone to lead the PR, someone with integrity, someone who sees people. I think that's you. Maya stared at him, her pulse quickening. A job? After she just lost everything? It sounded too good, too convenient. You're offering me a job because I helped you? She said, her tone sharp again. I don't need pity, Ethan. It's not pity, he said, his voice steady but warm. It's a belief. You did what most wouldn't. That's the kind of person I want on my team. He reached into his jacket, pulling out a sleek business card. Simple, with just his name, Skynova's logo, and a number. Think about it. No pressure. Call me if you want to know more. She took the card, her fingers brushing his, and felt a strange jolt. Not attraction, not yet, but something electric, like a memory she couldn't grasp. Ethan's eyes lingered on her, and for a fleeting second she saw something raw, unguarded. Unbeknownst to her, he was seeing the girl from high school, the one he'd watched from afar, too shy to speak to, her laughter in the cafeteria still etched in his mind. He'd recognized her the moment she stopped to help, her face unchanged by time, but he kept that secret locked tight, afraid it would complicate everything. As Ethan turned to leave, he paused, glancing back. And Maya, don't think you've lost everything. Sometimes things fall apart to show you something better. His smile was faint, almost wistful, before he disappeared into the crowd. Maya stood alone, the business card heavy in her hand. The terminal's noise faded, replaced by the buzz of her thoughts. Was this a lifeline or a trap? She didn't know Ethan Cole, didn't know Skynova, didn't know if she could trust a man who'd orchestrated her sacrifice. But his words, someone who sees people, echoed, stirring the part of her that had always fought to be seen. Somewhere in a sleek office across the city, Richard Vance, Ethan's rival, was already plotting to undermine Skynova's rise. But Maya was oblivious to the storm brewing. All she knew was the choice before her: walk away or take a leap into the unknown. Her fingers tightened around the card, and for the first time since Gate 6A, a flicker of hope sparked in her chest. The Chicago skyline shimmered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Skynova Airline's headquarters, a sleek glass tower that seemed to pierce the clouds. Maya Williams stood at the threshold of the lobby, her worn heels sinking into the plush carpet, her heart pounding with a mix of dread and defiance. A week ago, she'd been a nobody in a Texas airport, her dreams shattered by a missed flight. Now she was here, clutching Ethan Cole's business card, about to step into a role she wasn't sure she deserved: Director of Global Communications for Skynova. The weight of her decision pressed against her chest like a stone. She was a black woman who'd scraped her way through mid-level PR gigs, not a polished executive. Could she really do this? Or was Ethan's offer just a gilded trap, born of guilt or something she couldn't yet name? The lobby buzzed with quiet purpose, employees nodding to each other, their smiles genuine, not forced. A young assistant, Olivia, greeted Maya with a warmth that disarmed her. "Mr. Cole's expecting you," she said, leading Maya through security to a private elevator. As the doors closed, Maya caught her reflection in the polished steel, a woman in a second-hand blazer, her dark eyes fierce but shadowed by doubt. She thought of her mother, who'd cleaned offices to put food on the table, preaching self-reliance. "You don't owe anyone anything," she'd say. Yet Maya had said yes to Ethan, a man whose blue eyes and cryptic smile stirred something she couldn't place. A familiarity she chalked up to her imagination. The elevator opened into a top-floor suite, more like a modern library than a CEO's office. Books lined the walls, jazz hummed softly, and sunlight spilled across a mahogany desk. Ethan stood by the window, hands in his pockets, his blonde hair catching the light. He turned, his face breaking into a smile that felt both professional and personal. "You made it," he said, gesturing to a leather chair. "Coffee?" Maya sat, smoothing her skirt, forcing a smile. "You promised coffee in the sky, not an office." He chuckled, pouring two steaming cups. "I keep my promises." His ease unnerved her, as did the way his gaze lingered, soft yet intense, like he saw more than she meant to show. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan was seeing the girl from high school, the one whose quick wit and quiet strength had captivated him, even if he'd never dared speak to her then. He pushed the thought down, focusing on the present. "I want this to be casual," Ethan said, sitting across from her. "No debrief, no press kits, just us." His tone was deliberate, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of something deeper. Hope, perhaps, or guilt. Sky Nova isn't just an airline. It's a challenge to how people like you and me are seen. I've been the man no one helped. You saw that. Maya's throat tightened. "I did." His words stirred the pride she'd felt at the airport, but also her unease. Was she here because she'd helped him, or because he believed in her? She couldn't tell. Ethan leaned forward, his voice dropping. "We're building service hubs in developing countries, training local workers, creating jobs, restoring dignity. It's big, messy, but good. I need someone to tell that story, Maya. Someone who understands people, not just press releases." Her fingers tightened around the coffee cup. "And you think that's me? I've only worked for small firms. I don't know aviation. I'm not—" She stopped, hating the doubt in her voice. "You're enough," Ethan said, his tone firm but kind. "You stopped when no one else did. That's what I need. Heart, integrity. The rest I'll teach you." His sincerity was disarming, but Maya's mind raced. Was this too good to be true? Before she could respond, Olivia knocked, handing Ethan a tablet. His face darkened as he scanned it. "Trouble?" Maya asked, sensing the shift. Ethan hesitated, then sighed. "Just rumors. A competitor, Richard Vance, is spreading noise. Says we're hiring for optics, not talent." His eyes met hers, steady. "He's wrong about you, Maya. Don't let him in your head." The name Vance meant nothing to her, but the implication stung. Was she just a diversity checkbox? The thought clawed at her, rekindling old insecurities from boardrooms where she'd been the only black woman, her ideas dismissed until a white colleague echoed them. Yet Ethan's belief, his quiet, unshakable faith, challenged her to stay. "All right," she said finally, her voice steadier. "I'm in, but I'm not here for pity. I'll prove I belong." Ethan's smile returned, brighter now. "You will. Welcome to Sky Nova." The rest of the day was a whirlwind. Olivia showed Maya her office, a sleek space with a view of Lake Michigan, and introduced her to the team. Unlike the cutthroat agencies she'd known, Sky Nova's staff moved with purpose, not posturing. Engineers chatted with janitors, executives listened to interns. Maya noticed a wall of handwritten notes, one reading, "Loyalty isn't loud, it shows up." It felt like a promise, one she wanted to believe in. That night, alone in her temporary corporate apartment, Maya sat by the window, Ethan's business card in hand. She traced his name, her mind replaying his words. "You're enough." For the first time in years, she felt the stirrings of purpose, a chance to build something bigger than herself. But doubt lingered. Could she trust Ethan, a man whose motives she didn't fully understand? And why did his gaze feel like it held secrets beyond the airport? Across town, Richard Vance sat in a dimly lit office, scrolling through Sky Nova's press releases. His lips curled as he read about Maya's appointment. "A nobody from nowhere," he muttered, already plotting to expose Ethan's charity hire. But Maya, unaware of the storm brewing, closed her eyes and let hope take root. She was here in a world she'd never imagined, ready to fight for her place, even if she didn't yet know the battles ahead. The Nairobi airfield shimmered under a relentless midday sun, its heat rippling off the tarmac like a living pulse. Maya Williams stood at the edge of the crowd, her blazer clinging to her skin, her dark eyes wide with a mix of awe and disbelief. 6 weeks ago, she'd been a heartbroken PR manager, stranded in an Austin airport, her dreams in tatters. Now she was here, in Kenya, as Sky Nova Airlines Director of Global Communications, witnessing the opening of a training hub that promised to change lives. Rows of hangars gleamed with fresh paint, each marked with Sky Nova's stylized wing logo. Local engineers in Navy jumpsuits clutched certificates, their faces alight with pride. Maya's heart swelled, but doubt gnawed at her. Could she, a black woman who'd stumbled into this world, truly belong to such a mission? Ethan Cole, Sky Nova's enigmatic CEO, stood at the center of it all, his blonde hair glinting in the sunlight, his presence commanding yet approachable. He wore a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, blending effortlessly with the crowd. Maya watched him shake hands with a young technician, his smile genuine, and felt a pang she couldn't name. His belief in her had brought her here, yet his cryptic intensity, those piercing blue eyes that seemed to see too much, kept her on edge. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan was seeing the girl he'd admired in high school, her courage at the airport rekindling a flame he'd buried long ago. He kept that secret locked tight, focusing on the moment. The ceremony began with a crackle of speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen," a voice announced, "please welcome Ethan Cole, CEO of Sky Nova Airlines." Applause erupted, and Ethan stepped to the podium, his voice soft but resonant. "I'm not here as a CEO," he said, scanning the crowd. "I'm here as someone who knows what it's like to be overlooked. Today we're building dignity, together." His eyes flicked to Maya, a wordless acknowledgement that sent a shiver down her spine. She felt seen, not just as an employee, but as a partner in something bigger. After the speeches, Ethan found her near a hangar, where cooling shade offered brief relief. "What do you think?" he asked, his tone casual but his gaze searching. "It's incredible," Maya said, her voice catching. "These people, they're not just learning skills, they're reclaiming their futures." She hesitated, then added, "But why me, Ethan? Why am I here?" He leaned against the hangar wall, his expression softening. "You want the truth about the airport?" His voice dropped, as if sharing a confession. "It wasn't a test, Maya. It was a search for truth. I'd do it every year. Dress down, blend in, see who cares. My father, a billionaire, was once ignored when he posed as a nobody. It changed me. I wanted to find people who see beyond appearances." He paused, his eyes locking onto hers. "You did. You stopped when no one else would." Maya's breath hitched. His words stirred pride, but also unease. "So I was part of your experiment?" Her tone sharpened, masking the hurt. Had her sacrifice been orchestrated? Ethan shook his head earnestly. "Not an experiment. A moment. You chose to help, Maya. That's why you're here. Not because of me, but because of you." His sincerity disarmed her, but before she could respond, his phone buzzed. His face darkened as he read the screen. "Trouble?" Maya asked, sensing the shift. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Richard Vance," he said, voice low. "He's at it again." He showed her the screen, a news alert accusing Sky Nova of exploiting Nairobi's workers, claiming the training hubs were a PR stunt. "Vance is a competitor. He'll do anything to tear us down." Maya's stomach churned. She dealt with smear campaigns before, but this felt personal. "What do we do?" she asked, her PR instincts kicking in. "You tell the truth," Ethan said, his confidence steadying her. "Show the world what we're really doing here." She nodded, adrenaline surging. Within hours, Maya was in a makeshift office, drafting a press release with Sky Nova's local team. She interviewed technicians, capturing their stories, mothers learning to weld, fathers training as mechanics, their voices brimming with hope. Her statement was sharp, authentic, and undeniable. Sky Nova isn't exploiting Nairobi. We're empowering it. By evening, the release hit global outlets, drowning out Vance's lies. Social media buzzed with photos of smiling trainees, hashtags like Sky Nova Nairobi trending. As dust settled, Maya stood alone outside the hangar, the sky a tapestry of gold and lavender. The crisis had been averted, but her mind raced. She'd proven herself, yet the weight of her role and Ethan's faith felt heavier than ever. He found her there, his silhouette framed against the fading light. "You were brilliant today," he said, his voice warm. "Vance didn't stand a chance." She managed a smile, but her eyes searched his. "You really believe I can do this, don't you?" "More than you know," he said, and for a moment his gaze held something deeper, a longing he didn't voice. Maya felt it, a connection beyond words, rooted in their shared fight. But doubt lingered. Could she trust him, a man whose past with her remained a mystery? Across the ocean, Richard Vance slammed his laptop shut, his plan in tatters. Sky Nova's triumph in Nairobi only fueled his resolve to strike harder. But Maya, unaware of his growing vendetta, looked out at the airfield, her heart swelling with purpose. She was no longer the woman who'd missed a flight. She was someone new, standing on the edge of a mission that could change the world. And a bond with Ethan that was just beginning to take shape. The Brazilian sun hung low over Jacutinga, casting long shadows across the red dirt roads and swaying banana trees. Maya Williams stepped off a Sky Nova shuttle, her blazer dusted with the journey's grit, her dark eyes drinking in the rural hillside community. 3 months into her role as Director of Global Communications, she'd seen Sky Nova's impact in Nairobi. But this felt different, smaller, rawer, more personal. The air buzzed with possibility, yet Maya's heart carried a familiar weight. The nagging doubt that she, a black woman who'd stumbled into this world, wasn't enough for the mission she'd embraced. Today, she was here for Sky Nova's STEM program, a pilot initiative to teach local girls engineering through repurposed aviation tech. But as she approached the modest building marked Centro de Treinamento, Sky Nova Esperanza, Hope, she wondered if she could inspire others when she was still finding her own footing. Ethan Cole walked beside her, his blonde hair catching the late afternoon light, his crisp shirt slightly rumpled from the flight. His presence was steady, yet his blue eyes held a quiet intensity that stirred something in Maya, a connection she couldn't name. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan saw the girl he'd admired in high school, her courage at the airport, and now here rekindling a love he'd never confessed. He kept that secret buried, focusing on the program. "This is special," he said, nodding toward the center. "We're not just training workers. We're raising dreamers." Inside, the room hummed with energy. 6 girls, none older than 10, sat at workstations cobbled from aircraft parts, their fingers tapping on dusty keyboards. Maya's breath caught at the sight. Children who'd never seen a plane up close now coding drone flight simulations. But one girl, Anna, sat apart, her braids framing a face tight with fear. She stared at her screen, unmoving, as if paralyzed by the weight of failure. Maya approached, crouching beside her. "Hey, Anna," she said softly, her voice warm. "What's going on?" Anna's eyes flicked up, then down. "I can't do it," she whispered, her Portuguese accent thick. "I'll mess it up. Everyone will laugh." Maya's heart ached, recognizing that fear. Fear, the same one that had gripped her at the airport, the same one that whispered she didn't belong at Sky Nova. She glanced at Ethan, who was helping another girl, his encouragement gentle but firm. Turning back to Anna, Maya said, "You know, I missed a flight once. A big one. I thought I'd lost everything. My job, my future. But I helped someone instead, and it led me here to you." Anna's eyes widened, curious. "You were scared." "Terrified," Maya admitted, a smile breaking through. "But I learned something. The only way to fail is to stop trying." "You've got this, Anna. Show me what you can do." Hesitantly, Anna typed, her fingers trembling. The screen flickered, then displayed a drone soaring in a virtual sky. The other girls cheered, and Anna's face lit up, tears brimming but proud. Maya felt a rush, not just of relief, but of revelation. In lifting Anna, she was healing herself, stitching together the pieces of a woman who'd once doubted her worth. But the moment was short-lived. Ethan's phone buzzed, his expression darkening as he read the message. He pulled Maya aside, his voice low. "Vance is at it again." Richard Vance, their relentless competitor, had sent an anonymous tip to local media, alleging Sky Nova's STEM program was a front for child labor. The accusation was baseless, but its timing, hours before a community showcase, threatened to derail the program's launch. Maya's stomach twisted, her PR instincts flaring. "He's trying to sabotage us," she said, anger simmering. "We can't let him win." Ethan nodded, his trust in her unwavering. You know what to do. She sprang into action, gathering the program's staff in a cramped office. With a translator's help, Maya crafted a response, a live stream showcase of the girls' work, unscripted and undeniable. She coached the students, Anna included, to share their projects with confidence. As cameras rolled, Anna stepped forward, her voice shaky but clear, explaining her drone simulation. I want to build a plane that flies on salt water, she said, her dream sparking gas from the crowd. Maya's press release, filled with the girls' stories, hit global outlets, drowning out Vance's lies. By nightfall, Ira's Sky Nova Jacutinga was trending, the program hailed as a beacon of hope. As stars emerged over Jacutinga, Maya stood outside the center, the warm breeze carrying the scent of earth and possibility. Ethan joined her, his silhouette framed against the glowing building. You didn't just save the program, he said, his voice thick with admiration. You gave those girls a voice. Maya met his gaze, her heart racing. They gave me one first. She saw something in his eyes. Pride, but also a longing he didn't voice. For Ethan, watching Maya shine was like seeing his high school crush come to life, her strength more radiant than he'd ever imagined. But he stayed silent, afraid his past feelings would complicate their partnership. Across the continent, Richard Vance seethed in his office, his latest scheme in ruins. Sky Nova's triumph only sharpened his resolve to strike harder, his next move already forming. But Maya, unaware of the escalating threat, looked out at the horizon, her doubts quieter now. Anna's courage had mirrored her own, and in that reflection, she saw a woman worthy of this mission. The connection with Ethan, unspoken but growing, felt like a promise of purpose, of partnership, of something neither could yet name. For the first time, Maya felt she was exactly where she was meant to be. The Sao Paulo sky burned lavender as the Sky Nova jet touched down with a whisper, its engines humming softly against the dusk. Maya Williams sat by the window, her dark eyes tracing the city's sprawling silhouette, her heart a tangle of nerves and resolve. 3 months as director of global communications had transformed her. From a woman who'd missed a flight to one who'd faced down crises in Nairobi and Jacutinga. Tonight, in an open-air hangar lit by golden Edison bulbs, she would deliver her first major international speech to over 100 journalists, officials, and aviation partners. This wasn't just a press conference. It was her chance to cement Sky Nova's mission and her place in it. Yet as the cabin door opened, doubt crept in. Could a black woman, once overlooked in small PR firms, command a stage this vast? Ethan Cole, Sky Nova's CEO, sat across from her, flipping through briefing folders with a calm that belied the stakes. His blonde hair caught the cabin's dim light, his blue eyes flicking to Maya with a quiet intensity that stirred something unspoken. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan saw the girl he'd loved in high school, her strength now a beacon he couldn't look away from. He kept that secret buried, offering only a playful smile. Nervous? He asked, already knowing the answer. Maya smoothed her jacket, forcing a grin. Ask me again in an hour. He chuckled, offering his arm as they stepped onto the tarmac. Let's go make history. The hangar was a spectacle of light and motion, Sky Nova banners rippling in the breeze, workers in navy polos mingling with suited dignitaries. Maya walked through the crowd, her heels clicking against the concrete, her gaze lingering on the trainees at the back, barefoot or in worn sneakers, their eyes bright with pride. These were the people Sky Nova had lifted, and tonight she would tell their story. But as she approached the stage, her phone buzzed with a message from Olivia, her assistant. Vance is planning something. Be ready. Richard Vance, Ethan's ruthless competitor, had already tried to sabotage Sky Nova in Nairobi and Jacutinga. What was he plotting now? Maya pushed the warning aside, focusing on the task ahead. The crowd settled and the MC's voice boomed. Maya Williams, Director of Global Communications, Sky Nova Airlines. Applause rippled through the hangar, warm but expectant. She stepped to the podium, the microphone gleaming under the lights, and took a deep breath, her heart pounding like a drum. 3 months ago, she began, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. I missed a flight. I thought I'd lost my future. The crowd leaned in, a few heads tilting with curiosity. I missed an interview, a chance at success. But sometimes life takes you off course to show you something bigger. She paused, locking eyes with a young trainee, a woman clutching a notepad, her hands trembling. This, Maya gestured to the hangar, is what I would have missed if I hadn't stopped, if I hadn't helped someone. She didn't name Ethan, but her glance toward him, standing at the stage's edge, his face soft with admiration, said enough. Tonight isn't about me, she continued, her voice rising. It's about you, the women and men who will keep the world moving. Those told they weren't enough, not skilled, not visible. At Sky Nova, we believe in transformation. The first runway you need isn't concrete, it's belief. The applause was thunderous, shaking the hangar, and Maya stepped back, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Ethan met her off stage, his voice low. You gave them more than a speech. You gave them a reason to believe. His eyes held hers, a spark of something deeper, but before she could respond, Olivia rushed over, her face pale. Vance leaked a story, she whispered, handing Maya a tablet. A fringe outlet had published an article claiming Sky Nova's Sao Paulo hub exploited local labor, echoing Vance's earlier lies. The timing was deliberate, designed to overshadow the conference. Maya's jaw clenched, fury replacing her post-speech high. He's desperate, she said, glancing at Ethan. We shut this down, now. With Ethan's nod, she rallied her team in a corner of the hangar, crafting a rapid response. They released raw footage of the trainees' testimonials, paired with a statement debunking Vance's claims. By midnight, the narrative had shifted. Mainstream outlets praised Sky Nova's transparency, and the article faded into obscurity. Vance's gambit had failed, but Maya knew he wouldn't stop. Later, she and Ethan slipped away to a small cantina near the hangar, its wooden tables lit by flickering candles. Over plates of feijoada, they decompressed, the city's hum a distant backdrop. You were incredible tonight, Ethan said, his voice soft. I almost told you something up there, but... He trailed off, his fingers tracing the edge of his glass. Maya raised an eyebrow, curious. What? He hesitated, his high school memories of her laughter, her fire, threatening to spill. Instead, he said, You're changing the game, Maya. I'm just glad I'm here to see it. The moment hung between them, charged with unspoken truths. Then under the cantina's warm glow, Ethan leaned in, and Maya met him halfway. Their kiss was brief, electric, a seal on their partnership, a promise of something more. As they pulled back, Maya's heart raced, her doubts silenced by the certainty of his touch. Across the city, Richard Vance plotted his next move, his failure in Sao Paulo fueling a darker plan for New York. But Maya, wrapped in the warmth of the moment, felt the future unfurl, a future where she wasn't just surviving, but soaring. The kiss lingered, a quiet vow, as the stars above Sao Paulo burned brighter. The Grand Conference Hall on Fifth Avenue pulsed with the energy of the International Aviation and Social Impact Summit, its marble floors reflecting the golden glow of chandeliers. Maya Williams stood backstage, her heart hammering against her ribs, her dark eyes scanning the sea of faces through a parted curtain. Executives in tailored suits, journalists with poised pens, engineers leaning forward with anticipation. 6 months ago, she'd been a nobody, stranded in an Austin airport, her dreams crushed by a missed flight. Now, as Sky Nova Airline's Director of Global Communications, she was about to take center stage, her name flashing across digital screens alongside banners from Boeing, Airbus, and the United Nations. But the weight of the moment pressed harder than the applause awaiting her. Could a black woman, once dismissed in small PR firms, hold this room? And what was Richard Vance, Ethan's ruthless rival, planning to unleash? Ethan Cole stood nearby, his blonde hair catching the stage lights, his blue eyes fixed on Maya with a quiet intensity that steadied her nerves. He wore a sharp blazer, but his rolled-up sleeves hinted at the man who'd shaken hands with Nairobi trainees. Unbeknownst to Maya, Ethan saw the girl he'd loved in high school, her fire now a force he couldn't look away from. He kept that secret buried, offering only a nod. You've got this, he said, his voice low but certain. Maya adjusted her microphone, her fingers trembling. Hope so, she murmured, but her smile masked a deeper fear. Moments before, Olivia, her assistant, had slipped her a tablet with a chilling alert. An anonymous email, traced to Vance, had leaked to bloggers, claiming Maya was hired only because she'd helped Ethan in a staged airport encounter. The lie twisted her sacrifice into a publicity stunt, threatening to undermine her credibility hours before her speech. Her stomach churned, but Ethan's hand brushed hers, grounding her. "Turn it into your strength," he said. "Tell your truth." The MC's voice boomed. "Maya Williams, Director of Global Communications, Sky Nova Airlines." Applause swelled, and Maya stepped onto the stage, the spotlight searing. She gripped the glass podium, her dark eyes sweeping the crowd, finding Ethan in the front row, his arms folded, his gaze unwavering. She took a breath, her voice clear despite the storm within. "6 months ago, I missed a flight," she began, the words slicing through the room's hum. "I thought I'd lost my future." A few chuckles rippled, but the crowd leaned in, hooked. "I missed an interview, a shot at success, but I helped a stranger instead, and it led me here." She paused, locking eyes with a young engineer, her hands clasped tightly. "Some say that moment was staged," she said, her tone steady but sharp, addressing Vance's lie head-on. "Let me be clear, I stopped because it was right, not for reward, and that choice brought me to Sky Nova, where we've trained over 4,000 workers across 7 technical academies in underdeveloped regions." Murmurs spread, heads nodding. "We're not here for corporate pitches," she continued, her voice rising. "We're here to ask, what's the point of flight if only a few can take off?" The room fell silent, the kind that listens. Maya's words flowed, raw and unyielding. "Sky Nova isn't just lifting planes, we're lifting people. Women welding in Sao Paulo, elders teaching in Jakarta, children dreaming in Nairobi. Our mission is human dignity, and it starts with seeing the overlooked." She gestured to the screen behind her, a montage of trainees, a Kenyan technician smiling, a Brazilian girl coding, a child drawing wings on cardboard. The crowd erupted, a slow-building ovation that shook the hall. Maya stepped back, adrenaline surging, her doubts drowned by the roar. Ethan didn't clap first. He stood, his eyes glinting with pride and something deeper, memories of the high school girl whose laughter had once lit his world. From the back, Richard Vance watched, his jaw tight, his leak backfiring spectacularly. The bloggers had ignored his email, swayed by Maya's authenticity. His plan to discredit her had only amplified Sky Nova's triumph. Backstage, Maya exhaled, her hands shaking as Ethan met her. "You didn't just speak," he said softly, his voice thick. "You changed the room." His hand grazed her arm, a touch that lingered, charged with unspoken longing. She smiled, her heart racing, but before she could reply, Olivia rushed over, beaming. "The press is eating it up," she said. "Vance's story is dead." Maya's relief was tempered by caution. "He'll try again," she said, glancing at Ethan. "He's not done." "Let him try," Ethan said, his confidence infectious. "You're unstoppable." They stepped into the lobby, the city's night sparkling through arched windows. Maya's speech had trended globally, near Sky Nova Summit flooding social media. She felt transformed, no longer the woman who'd sat defeated on an airport bench. Yet Vance's attack had cut deep, exposing her fear of being seen as a fraud. Ethan's belief, his quiet, unshakable faith, had pulled her through, but questions lingered. Why did his gaze feel like it held secrets beyond their partnership? In a Manhattan penthouse, Vance poured a whiskey, his eyes narrowing at the news feeds praising Maya. Her speech had humiliated him, and New York's elite now saw Sky Nova as untouchable. But he wasn't finished. His next move would be personal, aimed at Ethan's heart. Maya, unaware of the escalating threat, stood with Ethan, the ballroom's music drifting around them. She was no longer just surviving. She was soaring, her place in Sky Nova undeniable. The summit had been her crucible, and she'd emerged stronger, ready for whatever came next, with Ethan by her side, his unspoken love a quiet promise in the night. The Waldorf Astoria's lobby gleamed under the soft glow of crystal chandeliers, its arched windows framing New York City's restless night. Maya Williams stood alone, her reflection a stark silhouette against the glass, her dark eyes tracing the cabs crawling below. Hours earlier, her speech at the International Aviation and Social Impact Summit had shaken the hall, her words about dignity and overlooked dreamers sparking a standing ovation. She'd faced down Richard Vance's vicious leak, turning his lies into her triumph. Yet as the echo of her own voice lingered, a quieter ache surfaced, an emptiness only family could fill. 6 months into her role as Sky Nova's Director of Global Communications, Maya had soared, but she hadn't shared that victory with the one person who'd shaped her mother, Evelyn. Tonight that would change. Ethan Cole's footsteps, soft but deliberate, broke her reverie. "You left before I could say congratulations," he said, his voice low, carrying the warmth that had steadied her through crises from Nairobi to Sao Paulo. His blonde hair caught the lobby's light, his blue eyes holding a depth that stirred something in Maya, something beyond partnership, though she couldn't name it. Unbeknownst to her, Ethan saw the girl he'd loved in high school, her fire now a flame he couldn't ignore. He kept that secret close, but tonight it pressed against his resolve. Maya turned, a faint smile masking her turmoil. "You already said it when you stood up." Her speech had been a crucible, proving she belonged, but Vance's attack had left scars. Was she truly enough, or just a lucky accident? Ethan stepped closer, his presence grounding. "You were extraordinary, Maya. Not because of the words, but because of you." His sincerity disarmed her, but before she could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, a missed call from her mother. The sight of Evelyn's name, a woman who'd scrubbed airport floors to raise her, cracked something open in Maya's chest. "I need to call her," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Ethan nodded, sensing the shift. "I'll be here." He retreated to a plush armchair, giving her space, though his eyes lingered, heavy with unspoken truths. Maya dialed, stepping toward a quiet corner, the city's hum fading as her mother's voice came through, warm but weary. "Maya, baby, I saw your speech online. You were everything." Evelyn's pride was palpable, but her tone carried the weight of years spent unseen, cleaning terminals while dreaming of the sky. Tears pricked Maya's eyes. "Mom, I want you to come to Chicago, see Sky Nova's headquarters, see what I'm doing." She paused, then added, "You always wanted to be a pilot, didn't you? But they told you no, because of who you were." Evelyn's laugh was soft, bittersweet. "That was a long time ago. A black woman in the 70s? The cockpit wasn't for me." Her voice cracked, revealing the wound time hadn't healed. Maya's resolve hardened. "It's not too late. I'm starting a program at Sky Nova, flight training for black women, named after you, the Evelyn Williams Aviator Fund." Her words spilled out, a vow born of love and defiance. "You taught me to fight for what's right. Let me fight for you." Silence stretched. Then Evelyn's voice, thick with emotion, answered, "Oh, Maya, I'd be proud to see it." They talked longer, memories of late-night talks and shared struggles weaving a bridge across the miles. When Maya hung up, her heart was full, but a new fire burned, to honor her mother's dream and break the barriers that had held her back. She turned to find Ethan watching, his expression unreadable. He stood, closing the distance. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice gentle but probing. Maya nodded, wiping her eyes. "Better than okay. I'm giving my mom something she never had. A chance." She smiled, but her gaze searched his. "Why do you always look at me like you know me, Ethan? Like more than you should?" He froze, caught off guard. His high school memories, her laughter in the cafeteria, her courage in the debate club flooding back. He'd planned to keep it buried, but her question cracked his resolve. "Maya," he began, his voice low, "there's something I haven't told you." He took a breath, steadying himself. "We went to the same high school. I had a crush on you. I never said anything. Too shy, too scared. When I saw you at the airport, I knew it was you. It wasn't just fate, it was a second chance." Maya's breath caught, her mind reeling. "High school?" She searched his face, fragments of memory stirring. A quiet blonde boy in the back of class, always watching. "You knew me all this time?" Her voice wavered, a mix of shock and warmth. "Why didn't you say anything?" "I didn't want to complicate things," Ethan said, his eyes earnest. "You were building something incredible. I wanted you to shine, not feel pressured." His vulnerability disarmed her, revealing the boy behind the CEO. She stepped closer, her hand brushing his. "You saw me when I didn't see myself," she said softly. "That's enough." The moment hung, charged with possibility, their bond deepened by a shared past neither had expected. Across the city, Richard Vance seethed in his penthouse, his New York gambit crushed by Maya's speech. Sky Nova's rise was unstoppable, but he was plotting a final blow, something to strike at Ethan's heart. Maya, unaware of the looming threat, stood with Ethan, the ballroom's music drifting through the lobby. Her mother's dream, Ethan's confession, and her own transformation wove together, anchoring her in a way she'd never known. She was no longer the woman who'd missed a flight. She was a force, connected to her roots and to a man whose love had waited years to be spoken. The night held them close, a quiet promise of battles yet to come. But for now, Maya was whole. The New York autumn air carried a crisp bite, swirling golden leaves across the sidewalks outside the Waldorf Astoria. Maya Williams stood on the hotel's rooftop terrace, the city's skyline a glittering tapestry below, her dark eyes reflecting the starlit expanse above. 6 months ago, she'd been a heartbroken PR manager, stranded in an Austin airport, her future shattered by a missed flight. Now, as Sky Nova Airlines Director of Global Communications, she was a force. Her speech at the International Aviation and Social Impact Summit still trending, her vision for a flight training program named after her mother taking shape. Yet as the weight of her triumph settled, a new question burned. What came next? With Ethan Cole by her side, his confession of a high school crush still echoing, Maya felt the stirrings of a future not just professional, but deeply personal. But could they withstand the shadows still lurking? Ethan joined her, his blonde hair ruffled by the breeze, his blue eyes catching the city's glow. He wore a tailored jacket, but his rolled-up sleeves hinted at the man who'd stood with Nairobi trainees and Jacutinga dreamers. His presence was a quiet anchor, yet the intensity in his gaze, softened by years of unspoken love, sent a shiver through Maya. "You're quiet," he said, leaning against the railing, his voice warm but probing. "Penny for your thoughts?" Maya smiled, her fingers tracing the edge of her blazer. "Just taking it in. 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. Now I'm here, with you, building something real." Her words held gratitude, but also a question. Ethan's revelation about high school had shifted their bond, weaving past and present into something fragile yet unbreakable. Could it hold? He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small folded napkin, its edges worn as if carried for weeks. "I've been holding on to this," he said, his voice low, almost shy. He handed it to her, his fingers brushing hers, sparking a warmth that lingered. Maya unfolded it, her breath catching at the words scrawled in his neat handwriting. "You helped me once. Let me help you fly." The note was a vow, a bridge from their airport encounter to this moment, tying his high school longing to their shared mission. Her eyes met his, tears threatening but held back. "You kept this?" she asked, her voice soft, marveling at the man who'd seen her when she was invisible. "Always," Ethan said, his smile bittersweet. "From the moment you stopped at that vending machine, I knew you were the same Maya I'd watched in high school. Brave, fierce, unstoppable. This," he gestured to the city, to their shared journey, "is what we were meant to do together." Maya's heart raced, the napkin trembling in her hand. The words weren't just about love, they were about purpose, a commitment to lift the overlooked, from Nairobi's technicians to Jacutinga's dreamers. But the shadow of Richard Vance, Ethan's relentless rival, loomed. His failed schemes in New York had only sharpened his vendetta, and rumors swirled of a final personal strike. Maya sensed it, a chill beneath the night's warmth. "Vance is still out there," she said, her voice steady but wary. "He won't stop." Ethan's jaw tightened, but his resolve was iron. "Let him come. We've faced him before. Nairobi, Jacutinga, New York. He can't touch what we've built." His hand found hers, a quiet vow. "You and me, Maya, we're stronger than his games." She squeezed his hand, drawing strength from their shared defiance. Vance's last attack, his leak about her airport encounter, had backfired, But Maya knew he'd aim deeper, perhaps at Ethan's heart or Sky Nova's soul. Yet standing here, she felt unyielding. The woman who'd once sprinted to Gate 6A, desperate and alone, was gone. In her place stood someone who'd trained 4,000 workers, inspired a Brazilian girl to code, and honored her mother's dream. With Ethan, she'd found not just love, but a legacy. They turned to the horizon, the city's lights like grounded stars. "We're not done," Maya said, her voice firm. "Sky Nova's just the start. There are more people out there, overlooked, forgotten. We'll find them. We'll give them wings." Her words echoed her summit speech, but now they were personal, a promise to Ethan and herself. He nodded, his eyes shining. "And I'll be right there, every step." He pulled her close, their foreheads touching, the napkin pressed between them. The moment was electric, not a climax but a beginning, a pledge to fight for the invisible, to build a world where no one was left behind. Their love, born in a high school hallway and forged in global battles, was the foundation. Far below, in a dimly lit office, Richard Vance stared at a photo of Maya and Ethan, his fingers tightening around a glass. Sky Nova's triumphs had humiliated him, but he was done with leaks and rumors. His next move would be ruthless, aimed at their bond. But Maya and Ethan, wrapped in the rooftop's quiet, were oblivious, their hearts aligned. The napkin's words, "Let me help you fly," were their North Star, guiding them through Vance's shadows. Maya was no longer the woman who'd missed a flight. She was a visionary, a partner, a force. With Ethan, she'd soar higher, their journey not an end, but a sky without limits, stretching wide and uncharted before them. What a journey Maya and Ethan have taken us on, from a fleeting moment in an airport to a mission that's changing lives across the globe. Their story of courage, love, and defying the odds reminds us that one choice can spark a legacy. What moved you most? Was it Maya's resilience, Ethan's quiet devotion, or their fight against Richard Vance's schemes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know where you're watching from. Your stories inspire us. A huge thank you for joining us on this unforgettable ride. If you love this tale, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to catch more stories that lift the heart and soul. We can't wait to share the next chapter with you. Until then, keep believing in second chances and the power of seeing the unseen. See you soon.